What's going on, everybody, man? Merry Christmas. We got a video for y'all on this Christmas, man. I hope you're enjoying your time with your family, man. Y'all getting some good food and just enjoying the quality time on this day off, man, this day of rest via, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, man. So I want to say that. But I do have a quick vid. I want to talk about early transfer portal winners via Pete Nakos. He's obviously all over this, man. He reports all this news. So this is what he got. Got Texas Tech, LSU, Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Oregon as his top six. Now, I agree with Texas A&M. Texas Tech. They have been the most active in the portal. They've landed some dudes. All right, now let's start. We'll go ahead and start with Quentin Joyner. He had a pretty productive season with USC as a true freshman this past year, right? He had 478 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, right? And adds to, a team that could definitely use another back kind of like him. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can block and pass protect, and he's explosive when he runs the ball. Didn't see the field as much as he probably should have, but like you see, 7.6 yards per carry. That's what you want to see from that position, man. So an underrated kid. Next up, I want to mention Romello Height. Now, he's a guy, when you look at his stats, it's not going to be in all. You really have to watch the game and see the impact he can have. But I think that's definitely a big loss, obviously, for Georgia Tech and what they want to accomplish, what they want to do. But the guy got better as the season went on. Like, he continued to, cause pressures, create negative plays, force fumbles, sacks, in key critical moments. So Texas Tech fans, I think y'all should be excited. I know this is third team, man, but Romello's is a good dude, man. He's smart. He's another really good get, man. Again, don't look at the stats. Look at his impact and his highlights, and you'll know how good of a player he is. Next up, I really think Texas Tech beefed up their secondary. When you look at Terrion Grant, his ceiling is very high. Played for Purdue, had a productive year, 6'4", 175. He's going to add a lot to that back end. And then on the outside at tackle, this guy right here, man, transfer portal was a 4-star via On3, rated a 90 rating, had a very high productive year, man. Pro Football Focus, whatever you want to say. Howard Sampson's going to be a beast, man. And I think he can go in there and potentially get some PT and eventually be that staple tackle for Texas Tech. And last but not least, I really like this guy right here, Lee Hunter. Watch his statement for UCF and how much he can disrupt the game. Right, came in as a four-star transfer portal guy as well. His interior pressure from the defensive line spot is very impressive. He's an underrated get for Texas Tech. Could have potential big years coming up. Really good get for them as well. All right, next guy I want to highlight is Damon Payne. Right, didn't have the most productive year. 14 tackles he had, 5 solo, but didn't see the field. He was at Bama for a long time, but now he gets to go to a spot that he could be productive. Humbly, in that Michigan defense. And they need that. They need that interior pressure. They need somebody that can clog up the lanes. So another really good kid, I think. Now, the dude on the bottom that you saw down there for the Michigan and who they landed, this dude right here. Oof, Lord, you talk about safety and what's Michigan been doing the last few years as far as what they've been able to produce really high-end safeties. You look at Dax Hill. A few years ago, obviously, now he's playing corner in the NFL. Look at Sanser Still. He's another stud safety. Now to get the landing guy that's only a sophomore, we could be a junior when he comes in. He had 56 total tackles, 29 solos, 3 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. Kid is an absolute stud, man. So that's another great get. And if I had to say, I think Michigan has a top 2 class as far as the transfer portal. They also landed this stud right here, Justice Haynes. Now, I know Bama fans said, he was hesitant in the hole. He was scared to run through tackles, and that's what Alabama fans were saying in my comments for the most part. I don't think so. I think he needed an opportunity where he could be that guy. And with Michigan, obviously, last year, they lost Blake Corum. Donovan Edwards, I think, was his final season. Now you get a guy that can come in and compete and be a high-end guy for you. So this is another underrated get. And I told y'all before, when he entered the portal, he just needs a team to believe in him, can scheme around him, and will allow him to be how good he is. We see it all the time. Kids transfer and end up balling out. He's going to be one of those ones we look back and say, Michigan really got him, right? And I really think with how Coach Sharon Moore is developing this team and going through the portal and getting big-time guys, this was another huge get for them landing Justice Haynes. I think he's going to be a guy we think about in a few years like, wow, I can't believe this team let him go, or this team, picked him up. He's going to be one of those type of guys. Now, another underrated team for me is going to be Missouri. I like what they really did here in the portal, landing some big-time guys. Kagan Trost, coming over from Wake Forest, man. He's 6'6", 300, man. You can't replicate that size, man. Athletic type of offensive tackle. He's going to be a beast for them. Landon Nathan Johnson from App State. He had a really good year as well. I like what he can bring to the table. He's going to be very good for them as well coming over to Missouri. And last but not least, very underrated guy. Now, I know they got some guys in Missouri at the quarterback spot, Brady Cook, things like that. But you land Bo Perbula. I really like that. Obviously, played a few years at Penn State, but had to back up Drew Aller. I believe Aller's going to come back for another year. But I like what Bo Perdue can do. He's learning a really good system, really good offensive system. I think he's going to be a guy that could be ready to potentially come in there and compete for a spot. So look out for him as well. So underrated job by Missouri. That'd be probably one of my more underrated ones. Next up, and I would put them in my top three. So obviously Texas Tech and Michigan. I would go Ole Miss. Landed some studs and some dogs. Deuce Alexander, man, obviously went to Wake Forest to start. Underrated guy. Real big, deep threat, man. Catching between in the short intermediate. Really good footwork. This is going to be a great gift for them. You remember this year they had Caden Lee. Trey Harris obviously ended up getting injured. Near 1,000-yard season. You get another stud to come in alongside him. This is huge. Another underrated kid I really like. I start with the offensive lineman. This guy from UAB, Delano Townsend. Watch his tape is all I'm going to say, bro. He is nasty in the interior, man. Big-time finisher. Opens up big-time gaps. Moves well. Is able to kind of just sift off defensive linemen's hands and able to kind of readjust them. That kid right there from Flint, Michigan, coming over from UAB, he's going to be a stud for them. Very underrated kid. And then I like Caleb Odom. He got a little bit of burn, you know what I'm saying, as a freshman with Alabama. But I think now they put him in a system where he can really flourish at the wide receiver spot. Now, it's going to be interesting. He came in, obviously, out of high school as a tight end, converted to a wide receiver. Be interesting to see how much they move him around. Big body, 6'4", 220. Will they move him in the slot? Will he be that versatile kind of guy? It's going to be interesting to see with that Lane Kiffin offensive system, what they decide to do. But another stud, and you land him alongside with, obviously, the transfer guy we just talked about, a receiver, you know, and Deuce Alexander, and now you get Caleb Odom. That's a pretty good gets for them, you know what I'm saying, I think, humbly. Last but not least, Antonio Kite. Not a guy that played a lot, had an interception this year, 5 tackles. Really a guy that's waiting for his opportunity. A very crowded secondary there at Alabama. When you look at the guys they got, Jalen Mbakwe, you look at Xavier Brown, you know what I'm saying, a really, like, unit that has so many players. So that's going to be something to watch for, see how much burn he can get with Ole Miss, but a very underrated kid as well. All right, last but not least, I want to mention Auburn as well in here as some of my winners, man. Auburn did an outstanding job, man. You land Eric Singleton Jr., the #1 rated wide receiver in the portal. Outstanding job there. I know they had to deal out a lot of money. Kid is explosive, can get north and south very quickly, deep ball threat. Great catcher, speed, use him in a whole bunch of versatile ways. This was a great get for their program as well, man. And coach Kenyatta Watson's doing a great job, not just in recruiting, but also in the portal. This was a really good get for them, man. The kid's stud, quiet to himself, very smart guy as well. Really good get for the program. And another underrated guy, we've been missing that for the last few years with Auburn, a really good tight end. This is a guy here, Preston Howard, is going to be a plug-and-play for them. 6'5", 202, that size, that strength, his ability in pass protection as well, and his ability to be a pass catcher is going to be something to watch for the Tigers. All right, some more underrated gets. This guy, Rand Strader, another one from Penn Hills, went to Maryland. He's going to come in and be in that secondary that's already improving. You know what I'm saying? That's really, really, really good. When we look at, obviously, Jalen Crawford and some of those young guys coming in, this secondary is going to be special here in a few years. See how quickly it can be. And then Tay Seymour, at worst, I think can come in and play and give a lot of PT. But at worst, he could be a death piece for you as well. Came over from Georgia Tech, seen a lot of him. Very good player, man. Real explosive, very good instincts, reads coverage as well, knows his checks and balances. Another good kid as well. And last but not least, I want to mention this LSU linebacker right here, Xavier Atkins. Now, he's a guy that did not play a lot at LSU because they have stud linebackers in Whit Weeks and several others, but he's a guy that's underrated. That I think can come in when you watch his high school tape and what he did there. You know, on the gridiron, 4-star. You know, you seen the tape and it blew you away. So I think he's a guy just looking for an opportunity, and he could be a really good linebacker for Auburn that can help, you know, continue to build that defense. So, yeah, y'all, that is the early transfer portal windows. I agree very much so with Pete Nakos. Like I said, I would go Texas Tech 1. I would go Michigan 2. I would go 3. I would go Ole Miss. 4, I would go Auburn, and I really like what Missouri did at 5. That would be my top early transfer portal winners. If I had to do it, an underrated get will also be, obviously, Georgia Tech and what they were able to do as well. Landon Malachi Hosey, top transfer portal running back. Obviously, landing Braden Manley as another one. He was another underrated get, the defensive lineman / edge. What he can do, bring to the table. I really like his play. He's going to be good for them. SoCon Defensive Player of the Year. And, you know, obviously landing some of these receivers, Dane Patterson, obviously Eric Winters, you know, building that offensive line with Andrew Brzezinski, who's another underrated guy, but came in as a 4-star prospect. I think he could be a guy that could potentially get a starting job before it's said and done. So that's my thoughts, y'all. Early transfer portal winners. My early transfer portal winners. Y'all comment below your thoughts on the portal and if these teams did the best. Comment down below.